I unalived my baby sister 17 years ago. I enjoyed every second of it at the time, but now I hate myself. 17 years ago I was 5 years old, my sister was 2.5. We had bathed together many times, mostly with supervision but sometimes not. My mother was a low-income single parent with a new baby and 2 jobs. Sometimes she needed to quickly run off and take care of the baby. Yes, it is irresponsible to leave kids in the bath alone, but 999 out of 1,000 times it would be just fine. It was only ever for a couple minutes and hindsight is 20/20. Plus, who really expects their kid to unalive their sibling if you turn away for a few minutes? I knew that I had to not let her head go under when in the bath. My mother carefully explained to me that she wasn't to get her head or face under because she could pass away and that meant that she would be gone forever. Well, on this day 17 years ago we were bathing as normal. Only today I was really mad at my sister because she had ripped up a book that I liked. Our mother was cooking dinner, she'd come home late from work and we were well behind schedule. So I'm in the bath with my sister. I had that irrational hatred that little kids feel when they're too young to understand consequences. I wasn't thinking rationally, I wasn't in a forgiving mood, I wasn't looking at my baby sister and seeing this little girl that I loved so much. I wasn't remembering how much we played together and how much I loved her, and how happy I was to be a big sister. At that moment I just hated her so much. I remember thinking that I wish my sister would just go away so she couldn't wreck my stuff, and then I remembered that if her head went under that would be it for her. I reached out with one hand and just held it on her head and looked at her face. I was so angry with her and she was so stupid she didn't even care that she had wrecked my book and upset me. I would be so much happier if she was gone from my life. I pulled my hand in her head forward, pushing her face first under briefly. She pulled it back out and coughed and made a little spluttery whimper sound. I saw she was shocked and scared by what I did, which just made me happy. Shouldn't have wrecked my book. So I did it again. I held her head with both hands and I pulled her face down under between my knees. She flailed about, but there was nothing she could do. In what felt like only seconds, but her movement completely. It felt like I had only done it for about 10 seconds max, but it was certainly longer. I let her go and she didn't move. I waited for her to sit up. I wanted her to look scared and upset again. It was my revenge for her breaking my stuff. Of course she never did. I lifted her up and shook her. I thought she was just pretending to hurt me and it made me even more mad. I didn't know what I had done, not right away. I didn't really want her gone forever, not really. I just wanted to make her sorry for wrecking my stuff. I tried opening her eyes with my fingers and I was asking her to stop doing this. I begged her to stop doing this and just look at me. I wasn't mad anymore, I was scared and I was worried. I was crying and screaming at her. I don't remember much about this part. I made enough noise that our mother came running in and I told her what I had done and how I had just totally effing destroyed her entire life. 17 years ago today. Ambulance came but there was nothing they could do. Our mother tried to do CPR but she didn't know how. It wasn't successful. I didn't get in any trouble because I was so young, but I was taken out of home for a while and I have had to see a lot of shrinks over the years. My mother got in a lot of trouble, but I'm not entirely sure how much. I told the police everything and they treated me like I wasn't a filthy piece of crap. They were kind and they sat with me and I was picked up from the police station that same day by a couple who were also really nice to me. They treated me as if I was some sweet innocent child who had been hurt instead of some monster who unalived her sister. Nobody ever treated me the way I felt I deserved. Well, except my grandparents who won't speak to us at all. They haven't said a single word to me since that day, and they verbally abused my mother heavily at my sister's funeral. I moved back in with my mother a few months later and I still live with her today. She won't talk to me directly about what happened. She won't tell me what happened to her afterwards, or how people treated her over this. Instead she will only focus on me. She blames herself 100% and me 0%, and she tries so hard to do what is right and look out for me and my mental health, but what I did permanently broke her. I honestly cannot think of a single time since that day that I've seen her happy or even smile. She always looks on the edge of a breakdown, and she doesn't look me in the face for more than brief glimpses. I still live with my mother, which has to be just awful for her, but she doesn't want me move into my own house because of my history of suicide attempts, and doctors and therapists agree, so I'm not able to move out. I'm checked on constantly. I'm such a burden to her and I don't know what I can do to stop. I don't do substances or alcohol, but I think mostly because I just didn't really have a chance in my younger years because I was watched too closely. I've never been able to connect with anyone long enough to start a relationship, and I've never really felt deserving of love or happiness, so I've not really had much to do with boys or even friends. I don't want to forget what I did. What I did was not okay. I would trade place with her in a heartbeat if I could. She was so young and so small and always laughed and was so happy, and she gave the best cuddles. She used to sit next to me while we watched TV and would just reach over and hug me tight. She laughed at my silly dances and funny voices, and she just made the whole world a happier place, and I effing ruined all of that because she tore a book I liked that I don't even remember the name of.